Hello and welcome to season 3 of the NGO Whisperer Show. My name is Carolyne Opinde. I am the founder of the NGO Whisperer. We are a consulting business that provides technical support to nonprofits so they can successfully impact people's lives. Joining us today from Minneapolis in the United States of America is Joshua T. Berglan. He is the founder of a new media nonprofit called Live Mana Worldwide. Joshua will be speaking to us today about living positively with HIV and impacting lives. Joshua, welcome to the show.
So good to see you again. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Joshua, today we will be talking about you living positively with HIV and impacting lives of people around the world. Would you please share with us what were your first initial reactions when you found out you are HIV positive?
I was in denial at first, even though I knew that my behavior that was possible, but I was in denial. Took another test and then took another, and that third test was confirmation. And instead of, deciding that I was going to turn my life around and try to do the right thing, I accelerated my drug use and set off on a course to try to destroy my life as quickly as possible with more drugs, more sex, and a lot of really irresponsible behavior. Frankly, I had no care for life anyway. And the only reason that I even took the test is because I was kind of put in a position that I had to. But I'm grateful now that I did. It was the most important, not the most important decision of my life, but it was a very, very important decision. But the whole idea of like, you know what? I can beat this, or I can live a normal life. It didn't even register probably for over a year and a half.
It's interesting what you've just said, that after you found out you are HIV positive, it kind of threw you off balance and you went into more risky behavior. I have worked in the HIV and AIDS sector for over 15 years. And just most recently, we are working now in South Africa with an organization that received funding to work with at-risk youth, to first and foremost provide testing, because testing is really the entry point into care and support for anyone, and not just for those who are HIV positive. It's also for those who are HIV negative. Once you test and you know that you're either HIV positive or HIV negative, then you can make informed decision about risky behaviors or prevent yourself. For example, for mothers who are pregnant or lactating, meaning breastfeeding, do specific things to be able to prevent the transmission from you as a mother to the child. Now, I know we have recently commemorated the World AIDS Day on 1st of December. And just to go to the statistics before we go to your questions is, there are 38 million people in the world today living with HIV. Out of that, 25.4 million people are actually on HIV medication. And 22 million of them actually have suppressed viral load, meaning that the medication that they are taking plus behavioral changes that they have made has helped them, and therefore the chances of them transmitting it to their partners sexually is limited. And then again, there have been 1.7 million people who have newly been infected. And sadly, 690,000 people have died of AIDS-related illnesses. And that all these statistics are available at the UNAIDS website, which is the official website that gives us information on HIV. Now, you are living positively, you are healthy right now.
Mhm.
How did you move from the risky behaviors that you had after you found out you're HIV positive to now? Tell us or share with us your experiences.
Well, at first, it was a decision that I had an overdose on. It was like coke and meth, and God knows what else. But I was in the middle of a massive drug and alcohol binge, had an overdose, and it scared me to death. And it was enough for me to stop using drugs for a while. And my body had been massively dehydrated. I remember the ambulance, the paramedics having to break into the gate to get into my house to get me and take me to the hospital. And that was enough to scare me. It was enough. And so with that, I decided at that moment that, okay, I'm going to start taking these meds. So I get on the medication. I became undetectable relatively quick, which kind of surprised me. And this is the truth, and I'm embarrassed by this, but it is the truth. After I found out that I was undetectable and found out, like, okay, now the odds of being able to give this to someone else and all of that is much, much less. My brain, I would say that the devil started whispering to me, like, let's have some fun. And I proceeded to start and accelerate my drug use again, to levels that were not even, that I had not even done before. I mean, this is way worse.
Mhm.
So I started the drug use, sex, everything all over again. But it took going to jail for the sixth time. And while I'm there, I'm coming off of cocaine. This time it was just cocaine, coming off of a bottle of tequila and an 8 ball and more of cocaine. And as I'm there, I tell them, going into the jail, LA County Jail in Los Angeles, where I lived at the time. And I said to them, thinking I was going to get special privileges. This is how selfish and narcissistic I was. I think I get special privileges because I have HIV. So I tell them that, and then next thing I know, I'm being locked into the psych ward in isolation, where I can't see anything, but I can hear the maddening screams of crazy people. So it took about 24 hours for things to wear off enough for me to actually comprehend where I was at, to start screaming at God about why he wouldn't change me. Just screaming, why won't you fix me? Why won't you change me like everybody else? Over and over and over, just cursing God. And for the very first time in my life, I heard, from God, you have to forgive your father. How in the, again, cursing at God, how in the beep am I supposed to do that after what he did to me, after what he did to my mom and my sisters? Because it happened to him too. So in those moments of understanding and starting to finally have compassion for my father, a man I hated, a man I showed up an hour late to his funeral, high on cocaine, because the night before I was up having sex and doing drugs up until 6 a.m. and the funeral started at 8. I gave my life to the Lord. I had an experience with the Holy Spirit, and I don't know if this is a faith-based show or not, but I honestly can't say how I turned my life around and what got me straight without being honest. And it was Jesus. I had that moment with God. It woke me up and it helped me see something.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to realize that not only had I become like my father, I'd become way worse than my father. I was way, way bigger of a monster than my father was.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized also in that time that I'd been running from what God had called me to do my entire life. And I knew because when I was molested, by 2 men as a kid, when I was molested by my female babysitter, when I was molested again, like I would get visions when my father would beat the crap out of me and choke me. When I would have these traumatic experiences, I would get visions.
Hmm.
of what my life was supposed to be if I just gave my life to God instead of trying to do everything myself. So when I did that, when I finally said, my life is no longer my own, use me, use all of me, I surrender, take my life. When I did that and committed to it, I started the journey of healing, of learning to love myself. And slowly but surely, God started to restore my life. But a big part of that was understanding that my body, my temple, my health, my mental state, my mind, my heart, my physical, all got to be healthy. God could heal me. God could restore me. And that belief and that desire is what fueled me to turn it around, to take the medicine, to not abuse my body or allow people to abuse me sexually, not to seek out the activities that I was doing. I mean, I would go on 4-day drug binges, or sometimes longer than that, and sleep with 20 people or more in that time. It didn't matter what the sex was, men, women, transgendered. It didn't matter. It
What
was the realization of what God could do for me and do in my life, and that he had a plan for me that changed everything.
what a powerful testimony that is, how you actually reached out to the supernatural for divine intervention, because you had tried everything: drugs, sex, risky sexual behavior, and putting yourself at risk, really. And all those things are things that people experience, whether they are HIV positive or not. But today, as we are sharing this, is also an awareness of how risky behavior can put you at risk of contracting HIV. And so after you came out of prison, because all these things happened, the realization of transformation and how you need to transform your life, you are in prison. So what happened between the time that you came out of prison to the time that you founded Live Manna Worldwide Ministries, the nonprofit that is serving many people, including at-risk people in the communities? Share with us the journey.
Well, I was facing prison. I was in jail. I was there for 5 days. Just to be correct, I want to clarify that. It was jail, but I was facing 5 years in prison. I was there for a total of 6 days. But it was the second day that I turned my life around. I got out on the streets of LA County, or the downtown Los Angeles after that. And I was like, I made all of these promises to God. Like, it was a lot easier to say I was going to serve you behind bars, but now I'm out in the real world. What am I going to do? Because I had no clue. Because see, before that, before I even moved to LA, I actually fled to LA because I had basically burned every bridge. I had hurt so many different relationships to shame my family, shame myself, couldn't go anywhere without people knowing what a creep and how messed up I was. And I got a vision before I even left for LA about what it was that I was supposed to do as far as with this media organization. And God gave me the name for it, gave me the logo, all of it. But I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about media. I knew nothing about, I had never even held a microphone. I knew nothing. So in the middle of, I'm in Newport Beach, California, working for 2 weeks. And I just feel this burning in my spirit. Like, you need to go on a road trip. You need to go on a road trip. And by the time I got home to Oklahoma, I'd looked at my girlfriend at the time in the face, and I was like, I need to get the beep out of here. I need to go. I just need to drive. Like, I just need to clear my head. And she goes, where are you going? And I was like, I just keep hearing go west, go west, go west. And, people go west and they think LA, but I was like, I'm just going to get in the car and drive west. So I stopped in Denver, stopped in Las Vegas. And then by the time I got to LA, I knew that I was supposed to stay. LA at the time, I had a skincare line. And one of the things that I had done and I wanted to be a part of, I was drawn to the entertainment world. And so I had the skincare line. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to get in. I'm going to start sponsoring events. So I started sponsoring the ESPYs, the daytime Emmys, the Emmys, like all of these different events we were sponsors for. And through that experience, I learned about product placement. And then I learned about producing. And then through producing, I learned about acting. And through acting, I learned about directing, and so on and so on and so on. So the way that Live Mana was created, which was actually born during COVID, but all of the things that we do and the functions we do were a collection of all the things that God had me do leading up to it. I wasn't following the Lord. I didn't even, if anything, like I showed up to church to make my mom happy, but like I wasn't even talking to God, you know? I didn't even acknowledge him. But he was still guiding me whether I realized it or not. I didn't, there was consequences for a lot of the actions, and when I would listen, like somehow I just ended up where I was supposed to be. So I learned all things media in a very short span. I didn't have success at the time. I knew what it was like to raise millions of dollars for a film and not get paid for it. I knew what it was like to get hired as a consultant and not get paid, even though there was a contract saying I was going to get paid. I got scarred by the industry. I got hurt. I lost everything and ended up homeless. That's what the industry did for me. However, what it did was it taught me that when I am able, I'm going to help and give people an opportunity, for all of the people that have been cast aside, all the people that have been hurt, all the people that have been screwed over by the industry. When I created my company, my production company, the media organization, in the way that we help, with the actors, actresses, artists, the marketing, the business side of it, the distribution, when I'm able to provide all of those things that I had learned and been hurt by, I was going to remember what that pain felt like, and I was going to seek out the hurt to give them an opportunity. It didn't matter about the social following. It didn't matter about all of the things that Hollywood cares about. I was going to give an opportunity. I was going to be a voice for the voiceless and help elevate the voices for the voiceless. That was the mission. And I'm so grateful that when COVID hit, because I didn't know when I was supposed to start it. I didn't know what to do. But when COVID hit, God said, now. And I knew exactly what he meant. So we formed the company. And literally in a week, we got the technology for our own multimedia broadcasting network, which covers TV, radio, podcasts, social media, and print. And then we got hired to produce our first movie. So I got to write a movie, produce a movie, then just got done shooting a pilot for another film or another TV show that I'm directing. But what I'm most passionate about is working with ministries. And I'm not talking church. I mean, I do help churches. I love helping churches from all over the world, including South Africa, mind you. Mm-hmm. But the new ministries where people don't have the congregation, but they have a camera, and equipping and providing the equipment and the resources for people to monetize their message online. Because guess what? If you're preaching the word of God, or you're talking about God, or you're uplifting people's spirits, you get to be paid for it. You get to be compensated for it. So we teach people all things media, the marketing, the distribution side of it, the technology. We sow into other people because there's a lot of people that have never been given the opportunity to learn. Maybe they don't have the finances, because honestly, what we teach, I mean, if I put together a course for what I teach, I would charge at least $10,000 for it. And the reason why is because everything I'm teaching is preparing you for the new world. But God gave it to me, so I can't take credit for it. I just know how to do it. And I also know what it's like being a part of Word of God Church in Oklahoma City. I know what it's like that these smaller churches are hurting. There's churches in Africa, in London, in Australia, in Asia, and even in the United States and in Mexico that don't have big budgets. So how are they going to get their message out to the world if they don't have the income or the money or even the know-how to be able to get their message out, especially when they've lost the congregation? So I'm very passionate about that, serving them. I'm very passionate about elevating other people's voices. And I'm so fortunate for all of those failures and heartbreak and heartache, because you know what? If I would have succeeded and I would have got those millions of dollars from raising money for films or any of the other things that I've accomplished in entertainment and just didn't get paid for, I probably would have been dead, because I hadn't learned about obedience yet. I had learned what it was like to really serve. And I honestly wouldn't have the heart that I have now for those in need.
Wow.
So my failures
powerful.
actually unlocked my purpose in this world.
I love that. Your failure unlocked your purpose in life. Now, speaking about the World AIDS Day, I will take us back to that. This year, the theme is Global Solidarity, Shared Responsibility. You are doing an amazing thing in the way that you are giving a voice to the voiceless, for people who are sharing messages of hope. You're working with nonprofits. You are collaborating with people who share the same value as you. Would you share with us examples of projects that you have recently started out of collaborations with different ministries or nonprofits, including one that you and your partner are actually working on?
Oh my gosh. We have 8 different ministries that we've launched digitally. And again, it's not church, although we do work with churches. We have, within one ministry, a church, we've actually created 2 different shows, like what you would look at as like a TV show. We've been able to do that, but then we're also producing and broadcasting ministries as far as like the church part. But I'm doing things outside of church and faith also. But, coincidentally, some of the people are, they're believers. Some are. I'm really excited with the new technology that we have, that we created a show that is going to change the way people buy online. And it's about empowering women. There's a marketplace that caters to female business owners from around the world. This woman's from China. And she is all about empowering women. And she has this marketplace that, again, only works with women and women inventors, it's unbelievable. Authors, personal development, even ministries, authors, or, just you name it, female business leaders. And the whole point is to elevate them. So I pitched this idea, like, well, why not create a TV show where we're sharing these women's stories about how they got there, how they overcame, but also because they have these products, just like the Home Shopping Network or anything else, let's integrate the product into the story. So instead of having some invasive, like, hey, buy my water bottle and blah, 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 it's not like that. In fact, the product is almost an afterthought. But the idea is, we are so desperate as a society, men, women, children, everybody right now, we are desperate for human connection and knowing what's real, and coming from the product side of the business, like creating skincare and cosmetics and all of that for doctors and celebrities and distributing products all over the world. The one thing that I've learned is a lot of this stuff is garbage. And honestly, inventors and business owners have a choice when they have a product: spend money on research and development or spend money on marketing. Well, guess what? Marketing is what brings in the money. So, but the people that care about the quality of their product and the people they're selling it to, they're kind of in a rock and a hard place. There's a lot of smaller businesses and companies out there that don't have a chance. So She Marketplace is that platform for them. So we created a show, and we're integrating. We haven't launched it yet. We're editing right now the pilot, but we are introducing this technology that allows people to buy in real time while you're watching, without clicking from a different page, without changing the channel. The capability of buying in real time without affecting the content and the story that's being told. Really excited about that. One of my favorite things I get to do just so happens to be with you, which is the Society of Kingdom Minds. I love this. I love getting to do it because it's with a group. We have 5 people in the group, and it's all kingdom-minded people. And I learned so much from that. There's so much wisdom, and there are people from all over the world that are a part of it. So I'm blessed to be a part of that, blessed to have that distributed on the network. And we have so much more to come. Some things I'm not going to talk about, but what I'm also really, really grateful for is to have the opportunity to relaunch a talk show that I was doing called Gratitude Unfiltered. You can see it behind me. But now we have launched it as an official ministry, and it's underneath the umbrella of our foundation. And I love our foundation work because we support nonprofits all over the world, ministries all over the world, and even individuals. Very passionate about working with the youth and to teach them what I know. And Gratitude Unfiltered has a youth program that's called Voices for the Voiceless. It's actually hanging on my wall right here. I'm not going to show it to you because it has some of my plans, and I don't like to share everything. But we are working with youth around the world to basically equip them with all of the skills, the training, the knowledge, and the equipment to be able to get their message out to the world. Look, there's a lot of people that where I'm from in the United States that if they have a felony, criminal record, they're not going to get a job that's going to help them provide for their family. In fact, I don't think I could get a job if I tried. But thank God I was not meant to have a job. I was meant to serve and help other people. But there's a lot of people out there that the only chance they have of ever surviving in this world is taking their intellectual property and broadcasting it to the world and teaching them how to monetize it, just like they do on TV. So like, you got to think about it. Everything on a screen is monetizable. Everything. This jacket is monetizable. The hair products that I'm wearing, t-shirt, your jacket. Imagine being with a push of a button, being able to touch a screen and buy that necklace in real time. So, but to teach that and teach distribution for the youth, the other reason why this is so important, because Gratitude Unfiltered was born out of a meth binge. God came to me in a vision, and I was getting ready to Can
you say that again? Gratitude Unfiltered was born out of a meth binge, meaning you were taking drugs at that time.
4 days into using meth, 4 days in a row, up all night, not sleeping. I was about to call the dealer to bring me more so I could keep going. And I knew that I was going to die when I did this. I knew it. I was ready for it. And I've given my life, and I want to make this clear. I gave my life to the Lord before this had happened. But I allowed the enemy to get in my head. You know, having multiple personality, I hate to say disorder, but I've been diagnosed with what's called DID, dissociative identity disorder, which gives me multiple personalities. It's the new word for it. The enemy I allowed to kind of take over. And we call it my dark passenger, and that's a whole other story. But the point is, I was about to re-up and end it because I kept feeding this demon, kept feeding it because it wouldn't go away. It taunted me nonstop, and it just wouldn't go away. And so I gave into it. I surrendered to my brain, I surrendered to the enemy that was taunting me. That's before I knew my authority. I know my authority now. That crap doesn't happen now. But back then, I didn't know my authority because I was a baby Christian. So God came to me and said, I'm not done with you yet. I'm not done with you. This is going to suck. You're not going to like it, but I'm not done with you. I want you to put a spotlight on your shadow world, and you're going to call it gratitude unfiltered. In everything you're going to expose. There is no secrets for you anymore. You don't get the luxury of keeping secrets. You're going to talk about everything. If you relapse and use drugs, you're going to talk about it. Because I had a talk show before this, and it was called Morning Gratitude. It was a little fluffy. It said, you're going to talk about it. If you go have sex with men and you use drugs, you're going to talk about it. If you get angry and you tell someone to go F off, you're going to talk about it. You're going to share everything. There's no more secrets for you. And you're going to show the power of truth. So, gratitude unfiltered, slowly, as I got stronger with my walk with the Lord, turned into a ministry. But here's what I know, and here's what I've proven. The truth, the enemy doesn't like the truth. All of you watching and listening right now know this. When you get those taunts that are telling you to cheat on your spouse, those taunts that are telling you to go beat that person's head in, those taunts that tell you that you need more drugs, more sex, more food, whatever. You need authority, one, to get rid of it. But one thing the enemy does not like more than anything else, and that is light. It does not like truth. So when you get rid of your secrets, when you share your secrets, when you get rid of your shame by sharing it with someone else, you put light on it. The devil doesn't like it. You have a spirit of suicide and you have suicidal thoughts. The enemy doesn't want you to talk about suicide. It wants you to keep quiet so it can keep taunting you and telling you all the ways you're gonna kill yourself. I know because I've been there.
That is so powerful. As we are implementing HIV and AIDS programs around the world, one of the things that we ask people when they're ready is to disclose their HIV status to those who are near and dear to them. They don't have to go public at first. They can share with those who are dear and near to them. And we have found out from our programs, and obviously this is evidence, it's well written and well researched and it's practical, that people who actually disclose sooner, accept their HIV status, are able to actually move from having very low immunity to having very high immunity, of course, taking medication and all that. Why is that so? Because they're at peace with who they are. And there's something so beautiful about what you have said. When you shine the light on something that you might have felt shameful about, no one can come and talk about it because you already put it out there. So no one will come and say, oh, did you know that this is happening? Because you already talked about it. And today, as we talk about HIV and AIDS and living positively, I want to ask you one question. Right now, if there's a young man, if there's a young lady, or whatever age they are, who has just found out that they are HIV positive, what would you tell them?
I can honestly say that having HIV gave me life and it gave me an excuse to live. Because it gave me a chance to reset. And it's not a death sentence. It's not even the consequences of it are taking a medication. But thank God for all of the people before us that fought, that risked their life, sacrificed their lives to help us get a medication or medications that work. The people that suffered with the medications previous. The side effects, if any, minimal, and they go away. And here's another thing too that's so important. One of the things that often happen with people with HIV is that they tell themselves that maybe you're in an abusive relationship. Maybe you're just in a really bad relationship, but that person knows about your HIV and they're staying with you. And you're going to tell yourself, well, I need to stay in this relationship because no one else is going to love me. I told myself that for years. There's nothing further from the truth. You are worthy of love with HIV, with herpes, with gonorrhea. Look, they're mistakes. And here's the thing. Our Creator knew, and this is hard for some people to accept, but our Creator knew that you were going to have this condition. He still has someone for you. He has someone for you that's meant for you, that's going to love you with all your goofy quirks and the way you look in the morning, or you wake up without your makeup. Like they're gonna love you. They're gonna love you, and they're probably gonna love you more. Like men, the woman is gonna love you more for your courage to stand up for truth. Women, men honestly really are not bothered as much by these things as you would think. The fact is this: you're still worthy of love. You're still worthy to live a great and extraordinary life. And God's purpose for your life didn't change because you have a diagnosis. You can become undetectable very quickly. You can live a healthy, extraordinary life, and your dreams still get to come true. Multiple personality disorder, been homeless, been bankrupt twice, have HIV. I think I said having multiple personality disorder. Like I've literally had lost everything. I have twins. I gave them up for adoption when they were 2 years old because I was such a piece of crap father, and because all I wanted to do is do drugs and have sex. I neglected that. I neglected the twins. And thank God my oldest daughter was away long enough to not experience it, because God brought her back in my life. Just because you get this diagnosis, use it as an excuse to live life to the fullest, because it is not a death sentence unless if you quit living.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much. I will end it there because you have just said it. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Joshua T. Berglan for joining us today, really, and sharing his heart out and encouraging anyone there who's living with HIV or has just found out that they are HIV positive. Remember, there's always help. There's help at your nearest clinic, at the nearest hospital. Reach out. And for those who do not know their HIV status, if you have never tested, go get tested. That's the message that I will leave with you today. As we commemorate World AIDS Day, I encourage all those who have not tested to go get tested. And those who have recently found out that they are HIV positive, get help, because your life has just begun. And you, just like our dear friend Joshua, you can turn your life around and impact people's lives, not just in your community, but around the world. Joshua, it's been an honor to have you today.
God bless you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to connect with us on our YouTube channel, and also connect with Joshua on LiveMannaWorldwide.org. As always, it's all about connecting people, raising funds, and impacting lives.